guys. I'm going to call our Operations Committee meeting to order. First item on the agenda is a quick ministerial task of approving our minutes from our December 13th meeting, and I would take a motion from one of our committee members to do that.
Move approval of minutes.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, then let's move into item C, which is our discussion about FNP 2.0, and I'll turn it over to the team.
Yeah, one thing I'll say just from the onset, Chase and I were talking on the way in, usually at the end of January we would have the overall FNP update for the whole board, but since we're all kind of here this evening, I think we'll probably look for some quick direction at the end about if something would be helpful after that. I do anticipate us having some other conversations about the FNP moving forward, but as far as like that annual report, I mean, Dwayne's going to kind of give you the annual update here tonight about what's in progress right now, and so either whether we do something in the end of January or moving forward, it would seem like a repeat topic, I guess is what I'm saying, if we did this report then again at the full board table. Maybe you'd think there's a reason we should do that, right, for the community too. So just kind of have that in your head as we're going through it. If there's some questions that are unanswered, or if you want to report out to the full board at an actual board meeting, we could certainly do that, but you may not find it necessary after the conversation tonight too. So other than that, and then Chase, if you have any opening comments, we'll kind of let Dwayne give you a status update about what's going on with FNP 2.0 and where we're at.
So a couple weeks ago, Chase and Matt asked me to stop in so they could ask what the hell we've been up to. I said, okay. We've been busy, we just been quiet, right, Jeff? So I just broke it down by category, and I'll just kind of get through these. If you get questions, stop me as we go. But two of the big projects that are currently in design that you're going to see shortly, we hope. City High, the C Wing renovation is the part of City High where a lot of science rooms are. It's a 50s vintage building. It's not really well done, but we're going to make it better. And we're going to do some HVAC work in the auditorium. While we're in there, we're going to make some other improvements as well. So they've been working on that. And just kind of aside, the career tech wing down below, Jeff, and it's going really well. Jeff's been running that project, and so that's coming too. So at West High, a lot of give and take, a lot of discussion with staff over the last few months. I mean, it is what it is. But we ended up with a really good plan. There's a new entrance. There's a new student commons area. There is a new admin office area. We're going to update the choir room and the orchestra room, and those folks were happy. Finally, there were some real discussions there. Molly can appreciate that, but we got a plan, and it's going to work. So we've got all that, plus the auditorium upgrades there as well, and the HVAC. So, and we showed you a drawing a couple months ago, I think it was. Mitch was here, and we had a drawing in front of the board. It's changed a little bit. We moved the entrance around, but the primary project's still the same. So, anyway, it's looking good. I like it. We're down to the point where now we're talking about interior finishes this week and what it's going to look like on the inside of that building. So. Lemmy, Weber, and Wickham were all HVAC projects that got overlooked the first time around, but that's because they're all newer systems. They weren't 50 years old. They're only, some of them 20, 25 years old, but they're at a point where they need to be updated. Like Lemmy, for example, was the first building in the district that had geothermal, and they're still there. But now we got to go back and take those units and rehab them, put some new ones in, just improve it a little bit. So it's that kind of thing. At Weber and Wickham, they had a more conventional heating and cooling system with a chiller and a boiler and things like that. So we're going to look at improving those too. Then the Tyler building remodel, we've got a plan we'll be bringing you soon that creates a conference room for several hundred people, maybe as many as 450. We might push 500. We're redoing an office space for the special ed folks, for the online school folks, and for the teacher learning. Will all be in this first phase. So that'll be coming to you soon. So those are the ones in design. Any questions?
How about the career and technical uses in the Tyler building?
Yeah, we haven't gotten around to that. We're still talking about what may go there.
So we're not into design.
No.
I think the next step in that process, Charlie, remember you guys have approved a contract with Trace Pickering. He'll be starting some conversations about what are the needs in the community and what are the needs in the district as far as what programming efforts would align to that. I will, just in an effort of transparency, I'm trying to be careful and sensitive to how the budget conversation's rolling out at the same time as that, and to measure when the right time for Trace to engage some groups around that is, just from the standpoint that making sure we're deliberately working through the budget process, but then also keeping an eye on the future, knowing what we need to do there to enhance our CTE offerings too. So, but that's the next step, and he'll be starting that work up here this spring for sure.
I have a quick question. The West High, does this include the thing we approved, the front of everything?
Yes,
What's that called?
I call it the front entrance, the student commons area.
That's what you have under student because
Yeah.
really it's a total facelift on the whole
It
side
is
of
the front
building.
end of the building, yep.
Okay, so the only thing I was thinking of after we were with West High Sunday night was how important it is, and this is something that's just haunted me a little bit, so I just want to have it floated in the air and in your brain, is remember the W that they have
Yeah,
with that sort of caged in thing? It's a
Yeah.
feature and the light comes through it. I'm just worried that it's gonna look like a cage. So it has to look bright and happy. West High needs that upgrade so much, and I just want, if you wouldn't mind just keeping that in your mind, because I don't want to disappoint people with that.
okay, I'll say this, it'll be done with LED lighting, and you can do a lot with LED.
Okay.
You can make it as bright or as dim as you want.
Okay, it's just the metal itself is cage-like,
Yeah,
and again, I'm just thinking
but
about West,
there's some glass that goes all the way up there, I think, in the front of that entrance there.
as long as you're keeping your mind
Yeah, I
on
will.
that. It's something that
Yeah.
I've thought about a ton, because I've
Okay,
been around West High people a lot, and
Yeah.
they keep saying, I'm so excited, it's gonna be great, and I'm like, oh, I hope they like it.
yeah, I think it'll be pretty cool. We went over there and started, I think they've started creating the temporary secured entrance.
Good.
Our facilities guys were doing that, and that's in progress. That'll be there. We're gonna create another temporary entrance through what is now the music room. We're actually gonna tear the music room apart, move the music room back to the second orchestra room on a temporary basis, create an entrance there, because the entrance we created now for secure the rest of the year has to go away.
Yeah.
And there's a new addition in that we actually moved the entrance down towards the center of the building more so. And there's a lot of pieces that get moved around there,
Sure.
but in the end, I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
Great.
Mitch has done a nice job of getting input from his
Uh-huh.
constituents and channeling those to us and coming back, and
Yep.
it's been very collaborative, but Mitch has been very in tune with the voice of his community, both internal and external to that building.
Good.
So we've tried to honor that and work with him on that in all we can.
But he's also been good listening to
Yep.
budget concerns that I have and things that we need to do or can't afford to do. So he's been pretty good with that too.
Good.
Yeah. Out to bid. North Central Middle School's at the end of the month. I'm got it in my brain to call it middle school and not junior high, because that's what the project's for, right? So we got a lot of signage to change, Kristen. So North Central Middle School has got a lot of classrooms, some special ed, some regular ed classrooms. The cafeteria has to be expanded, and the kitchen has to be expanded to accommodate the 1,200 students that could be there someday. It won't open up with that many. You'd be lucky if it hits 1,000. But they'll need it. We've also already done the roadways around the back. The parking lots have been done. They haven't been finished, the fine tuning around the edges or the painting of the stripes, things like that. But the concrete's down before winter, and that's always a good thing. So that project, and Jeff's been managing those parking lot projects, and he's had 3 of them to do, and they're all done, and they all look good. He learned well. Give me a pat on the back, Jeff. So at Horn Elementary, we just heard this week, one of the architects on the project had a stroke, and the other one's father passed away, maybe?
One retired.
One retired. So we're trying to get this to you guys by the end of the month. It may or may not happen, but it's coming. And it's got 6 classroom additions. It has a new cafeteria kitchen, because that small one in the center of the building, they use the multi-purpose room for years and years isn't gonna work. So there's a new one going on basically at the back of the building with access to the service drive. That'll work better to the kitchen instead of hauling food down through the middle of the building and like they've been doing for years. And it also, the plans a preschool room. At the front entrance, when you come in from that neighborhood, it'll be on the left side of the building right there. So it'll be easy parent drop-off, pickup for preschool. So I like the way that's looking. And I think you've seen some of the preliminary plans, but it's developing. Wickham Playground, I had a conversation with Ben today. It's a very difficult playground. It's up on the hill. That hill's not ADA accessible. The playground, a couple of the pieces are outdated. It's going to be a very expensive playground replacement up there, just so you know. Compared to some of the ones, we've been spending 100 to 150. This one will double it easy or more. So you'll see that. And we did do a small playground behind the building when I was still here, back where the Mazdas used to be. There's a smaller equipment back there, and that stays. But then everything up on the hill, I think, gets reworked. So that'll be coming to you soon.
That'll be on the next board for approval.
Any questions on those three?
So, two from me. So one, will you go back to North Central and talk to about the fall of '24 and what we think could be a
Yes, I will.
complication there? And then second, I think we're going to ask you guys to do something different with item 10 on the consent agenda tonight in reference to that issue Dwayne just mentioned. So,
Ed Horn.
yeah, at Horn. And so that, maybe you don't need to say anything else about that, but that connects to that when we ask you to pull that and change the bid opening on that. That's why.
Well, no, it was the public hearing part of it.
Or the hearing part, excuse me.
The public hearing set the bid date.
It is the bid opening. The bid is subjective. Since they ran into some personnel problems, that they might not be able to get all everything ready.
So the bid date may be pushed back a little.
Yeah, so my understanding is we're going to ask you to approve the hearing date, which is fine, but then the bid date, we're going to leave subjective until we can set a date for it instead of approving both tonight. So,
So you can pull that on Appendix 9.
yeah. So will you go back to North Central there quick?
I'm coming back to it on my next page.
Oh, okay. Sorry, interrupting your
No
flow,
problem.
Dwayne. Yeah,
No problem.
all right.
I'm here at your command,
Okay.
All right, Southeast Middle School. We did receive the bids, and we got 6 of them, and you've already approved these actually, but I wanted to remind you, and the low bid was 14.6, and the high bid was 16 million or thereabout, a little bit less. So I thought that was an excellent bid for the project. It's got the huge classroom addition, but as part of that, we displaced art and industrial arts, or career tech, excuse me, my old brain, still working. And the band room, we needed to expand, so we're actually building a new band and music area. It's too bad Les's wife couldn't take advantage of that, but she used to teach there. And the old band area will become industrial arts and art. The other rooms will get torn out basically with the new addition, because that'll become basically a student commons area on the lower level there, that new addition. So there's some moving pieces there as well, but we think we can accomplish it all. And there's also a new locker room there. So I'm thinking that we got a pretty good price for this project.
I would say the architect's estimate on that was 17.1.
It was almost 18.
And
Yeah.
we came in at, so that made us feel really good. We're hoping that all the inflation, the escalation of prices has peaked. So
I think it has, and I lived this in the 80s, and I keep telling my guys that have been through this already with inflationary numbers and recession pending, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But builders will turn to public works projects because private investments will go down with higher interest rates. So the builders that are out there want to keep their companies viable and keep their people employed, and they'll start gravitating towards school projects, public works projects, because it's guaranteed money. And I did it in the 80s. I replaced windows in schools to stay busy, keep my carpenters busy. So I'm seeing that again. And I think, and then this afternoon at 2 o'clock, we had bids for Northwest, okay? We had 8 builders bid Northwest. And prices were pretty good. Actually, they ranged from, the low was 18.2 and the high was 19.2. but they're all tight, they're all right in there, and they're all looking for work, and I think it's coming. And it's to our advantage. I hate to say it, it's not good for the economy in general, but it'll be good for the schools, okay? In terms of getting projects done for a reasonable price. Because we don't have to borrow the money. You know, well, we do, short-term stuff. So at Northwest, the classroom addition, which is pretty straightforward, there's an art room, there's some science rooms, just like there is at Southeast. And then there are some renovated special ed rooms at the old theater area. It's underutilized, that area, so they're gonna put like 5 or 6 special ed rooms in that area. The floor is sloped, we're gonna raise it, level it up, put some rooms in there, create a better access in there, and that's part of that plan. The kitchen at Northwest needs to be expanded, just like we did at Southeast. The cafeteria needs to be expanded to accommodate all the students that are coming. So that's all part of that project, and it all came in. I would love to have seen it at 17 million, but 18 is okay. And part of the cost in that building, it probably is a good $500,000 or more of that project can be attributed to the interpretation of the building code by the Coralville building inspector. And that's nice. I'm saying that nice as I can. There's a part of that building that had to have concrete structure put in it to create a safe space for students. And I said, that whole damn building's got a concrete roof on it, but the new one has to have it too, to satisfy the interpretation of the code. So there was some serious money spent to take either 4 or 6 classrooms and put a concrete lid on it to create a space. You know, we've been doing it. We did at Hoover and Alexander and Grant, for example. We created safe spaces in those kindergarten preschool wings by putting concrete on the roof. If you were around, you remember. But we're doing the same thing here, and I didn't think it was really necessary, but I'm not going to go to battle with the code official on that because life would be miserable. So they're making us do it. Rich Gross isn't here, so let him know, huh? Yeah. All right. He already knows probably what I think of it. Okay, North Central. 10-plex. That's the last one on the page there, Matt. The 10-plex is being moved from Northwest to North Central. The reason is because we're not 100% sure that 100% of the classrooms will be ready when school opens. Okay? That's the short version of it. So we also need to create some space for kids during construction if we take part of the building down. That's another reason to do it. But the real reason was if there's 20 new classrooms, we know we can get the top floor done because when we do buildings, we start at the top and work down when we finish them. So the top floors could be done, the stairwells could be done. It's going to be 100% safe, but if the lower level rooms aren't quite ready, we need to have that 10-plex. And the reason that all this may take place is because behind North Central, if you look at the front of the building, you know, you kind of got the gym in the middle behind, to the left of that or to the west towards Front Street. Is that Front Street? That's where the utilities for the building come in. There's a huge transformer there. There's gas lines there. That's where the new addition goes. So we got to get the equipment purchased and bought and relocated before they can start construction of that addition. So it gave the architects some heartburn about being done on time. So this 10-plex, in combination with having the top floor done, we think there'll be plenty of classrooms on the day school starts, but will they be 100%? We don't know. Okay? It depends how quick that transition goes. But that's the reason. Anything you want to add to that, Jeff? So that's why we're doing that. Moving the 10-plex is never cheap, and I think it can easily cost $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 to move that unit. I think we've spent more than that once moving it from Coralville to Twain years ago. Because you got to build a foundation, you got to do the utilities to it, you got to move everything, set it up. And right now on the east side of North Central, you don't have to go very far past that road and you're down in a ravine. So we got some dirt we need to move in there and level that up too before we can set it. We talked today about where we need to get it out of the way at Northwest because we want to start there in March. So the unit's gotta be gone, but we're not gonna be ready to set them yet until summer at North Central. So we talked today about maybe moving them to Liberty High School way at the west end, down there by the soccer fields, as a temporary location. If you can come up with a better place, we'd love to hear.
Have parents at North Central, are they aware that some of their kids may be in temporary?
No, you guys are really the first group we're making aware of that. And so, again, there'll be space to serve the students. They won't be in a temporary classroom all day. It would just be for some of the classes we would have to host in those temporary rooms if we don't get. And I think it's really a holdup on the equipment is what Dwayne's explained to me. It's about if we can actually get the equipment, we'll get it installed, but it's just, will we get the equipment to move all those utilities in time to have that new space open?
Yeah, I'm just thinking that some parents won't be surprised if they're going to.
Yeah, and we'll do that notice eventually, Charlie. Yep, for sure. Yep.
And that 10-plex, when you get in there, it feels like you're in a little
It's incredible.
wing or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah,
Right.
I suspect the sixth graders are the ones that'll be using it, either- or maybe the older kids. I don't know how Colby will figure that out.
2 minutes for your last 2 slides.
Really? Oh, you're tough. Okay. Projects under construction, Coralville Central, the secured entrance, the new elevator, it's all going well. Talked to our construction manager today. Weber, the new front entrance, also has an office in it, as does Coralville Central. Secured entrance, remember Weber was the last one kind of was vulnerable. That's being done. Garner, we're pulling the front end of that building to the south. We're pulling the admin areas south so that we can increase the space in the cafeteria. It's under construction. The block's up, frame walls are going up, it's going well. Shimmick, new multi-purpose room, it wasn't part of the original. The slab is there. It's gonna sit there till spring. They feel like they can get it done, and they're just gonna let that concrete sit over the winter. So you won't see a whole lot of activity. Just nearly completed City High with their lights and the tennis court. And the expanded parking there at City High, they love it. I imagine they will when it's done. Southeast Middle School, as I said, the parking, the kitchen, cafeteria, all that's done. Northwest, the parking lots are done except for spreading dirt and final grade, landscaping, seed, that kind of stuff. North Central, same thing. Concrete work's down. They just gotta do the grade, and that's it. I'm done.
And one of the reasons why I told Dwayne you only have 2 minutes is because of what Matt said. I want the board to discuss what we want to see in terms of the next update. If we want to have this update again presented at the full board table, what everyone's thoughts are.
So I've said that before that, and I looked again at our website, and it looks like this is a fixed plan, but at every meeting, we all acknowledge it's not a fixed plan. There might be change, especially if we're contemplating preschools and what that's going to look like. You know, and our middle school model, everything's shifting, and our budget is shifting, and our funding is shifting. I just think it's important to make sure the public is aware of that, because like even in a meeting last night, or yesterday, we said that we were gonna have a preschool at every school. We have no idea if we're gonna have a preschool at every school yet. We might change what that looks like. I just think as a board, we need to be more responsible about what we're communicating out to people. So our website needs to be really clear about this FMP 2.0, because that's what, you know, everybody, that was the feedback. What's on the website, everybody knows what it is. Is it something that is subject to us changing or not? And if it is, then we need to acknowledge it whenever it comes up, and it needs to be something the public knows. And so that leads to the answer to my question that Matt asked, and that would be, whenever we are looking at the FMP, I think the public would want to know this. I think these are really important updates. I know everyone asks me as a board member, what are we going to see at Southeast, what are we going to see at City and West? I think it is good. That's not a lengthy presentation. I would like to see it given to the public whenever we can. It's one of the biggest things we do.
I think I agree with Marcus about your community. I know it takes the board's money, but I agree it's an important thing that we do communicate clearly. And it also shows progress.
So,
We just didn't want you to look at us sideways about why are you giving us the same presentation that you gave us 2 weeks ago with you guys all sitting here. So we'll do that. And I think the other point that Mock is making too, that we're gonna have a responsibility to look at is, what's the new convergence point with enrollment projections that we'll show to you at the 31st meeting, with this information, with our budget situation, what does that mean, right? To this conversation. And like you had also talked about, if it is a plan that can be subject to change and subject to review, then, what are our next steps in that discussion?
So if we were to give this presentation, maybe take some design pictures of the elevations and just pull some views of what it's gonna look like.
I was just gonna say, if there's any way to incorporate graphics
Sure.
and,
Well, I love
like how
graphics.
we got the West High,
Yeah.
like we saw that
Yes.
picture of the front entryway, I think that helps. And no one has as much institutional knowledge as you guys do about what our buildings look like, so every time you can bring that to life through drawings, I think it really helps.
I used to show thousands of pictures, and I was told that, pictures worth 1,000 words. You don't have to show us 1,000 pictures.
Well, did you talk about every single
Probably.
I think that's really important. That's what the public wants and needs to see. It is the exciting thing that is easy to experience, right? If you can see what it's gonna look like.
Well, it's easy, because I have a lot of passion for it all.
Great,
But it's, it's whatever we want to do.
great.
So
But
I think that's
you
your
do-
direction.
Okay. We
See it
got
on a board meeting, visuals, update.
Maybe some drone footage. I was thinking Wayne, like a sledgehammer by the utility thing in North Central.
Yeah.
It's not
Get it
subtle,
on.
it's subtle.
Yeah, I think so.
It'll be
Yeah.
subtle,
You
it's
can do it
small,
artistic.
We did do some drone footage of Liberty High School when we were doing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But and I know you all know it, but the middle school concept has drastically changed what we need to do at the elementary schools.
All right, any other comments from anybody at the table? All right, can I then get a motion to, let me check the agenda. Oh, next operations committee meeting, sorry. That is going to be set for February 14th.
Yes.
Happy Valentine's Day. I remember seeing a schedule of, and so I know we have something to talk about.
We originally talked about doing some work with kind of a staffing update. What we haven't talked about is whether or not we need to use that ops meeting for another budget update and push the staffing update to March. I mean, with the budget where it is, there might not be a lot to share if we haven't gotten more certainty around where we are on the budget.
Regardless, let's make sure we have the meeting, whether we need to tweak what the subject is.
Yeah.
I want to make sure our operations meetings are held so that we're all kept on the same page with it. Isn't that the day we go to the Hill?
It is.
So will we be back in time for that? I mean, there's a schedule. Does anyone know what that schedule looks like? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not exact, no. I mean, I think it's also quite, as long as you make it down there that day, if you want to continue to meet with legislators or if you want to come back, I'm sure the programming portion will be over in time for us to get back by, if it was 3 p.m., and our op starts at 5. So either way, I agree. I think we need to have the meeting and
Yeah.
then we'll just have to figure out what to do with the Des Moines part.
Okay.
So if all 7 of us could put that ops meeting on our schedule as a tentative budget meeting, and then if it turns out not to be a budget meeting but a staffing update, I always think it's easier for people to remove than to add. Let's plan on budget, and if we don't need it, we'll flip it to the staffing. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, see you guys next month.